Shifting focus now. Once a final refuge, today entire families are fleeing Rafah. As Israeli strikes pound Gaza, hundreds of thousands of Gazans are fleeing once again in one of the biggest mass displacements of the war. Israel has ordered the evacuation as its forces advance into the ruins of Rafah city as part of a newly announced security zone that they intend to capture. Most of the local population following Israel's order to leave as the IDF strikes toppled buildings there.
We could barely believe that we had arrived back in Rafah. We left Rafah under destruction, under bombardment, under missiles, under tanks. We left. It is a complete occupation of Rafah and an entire displacement of its residents. We don't know where are we going. Today the situation is extremely difficult. We feel that the situation is even more difficult than before.
And just a day after declaring their intention to capture, Israeli forces pushing into the city on Gaza's southern edge of Rafah. It was the last refuge for people fleeing from other areas. And according to Gaza's health ministry, in the past 24 hours alone, Israeli military operations have claimed the lives of 100 people. 138 others have been injured, with some of the victims still trapped under the rubble.
25 members of my family are on the streets. We don't know where to go.
The Israeli attack coming as a major escalation in the war since Israel resumed its operations last month after abandoning the ceasefire that came into place in January. What's Israel's long-term goal? It's yet to spell that out. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his troops were taking an area he called the Morag Axis, an apparent reference to an abandoned former Israeli settlement that was once located between Rafah and Khan Yunis.
The Israelis issued a warning. Until when will we remain like this? Until when? Until when we will keep evacuating and coming back every other day? People, spare us the struggle. Spare us, Ummah. Where is the Arab Ummah? Where are the Arabs? Where are the people?
As a result of Israeli actions, Gazans who had returned to homes in the ruins during the ceasefire once again have to leave their homes. They fear that Israel's intention is to depopulate those areas indefinitely, which would leave hundreds of thousands of people permanently homeless. In one of the poorest and most crowded territories on earth, the security zone that Israel wants to seize includes some of Gaza's last agricultural land and critical water infrastructure. Not only that, since the first phase of the ceasefire expired at the start of March, Israel has also imposed a total blockade on all goods reaching Gaza's 2.3 million residents. The total Palestinian death toll in Gaza has risen to 50,523. Following nearly 18 months of the Israeli military operations. According to Al-Quds, which is a Palestinian Arabic language daily, 39,384 children have been orphaned since the Israel-Hamas war started in 2023. The Israeli Defense Forces also conducting operations in Jenin, West Bank. These operations have resulted in 37 Palestinian deaths, the destruction of 600 homes, and displaced more than 21,000. And as the situation continues to worsen, the United Nations Security Council held a meeting on Thursday at the UN headquarters in New York City. The UN High Commissioner saying that the last 18 months of violence have made it abundantly clear that there is no military path out of this crisis. Listen into this.
It pains me to brief this council once again on the catastrophic suffering of people in Gaza. The temporary relief of the ceasefire, which gave Palestinians a moment to breathe, has been shattered. The last 18 months of violence have made abundantly clear that there is no military path out of this crisis. The only way forward is a political settlement based on two states living side by side in equal dignity and rights, in line with United Nations resolutions and international law.
And we now shift our focus to the growing tensions between Israel and Turkey over Syria, a conflict that is fast escalating into a high-stakes geopolitical standoff. Israel is raising alarm over Turkey's expanding role in Syria, accusing Ankara of turning the war-torn country into a de facto Turkish protectorate. The Israeli foreign minister, in fact, claimed that just as Syria's past alignment with Iran was concerning, its growing ties with Turkey are equally alarming. Listen in.
They are doing their utmost to have Syria as a Turkish protectorate. It's clear that this is their intention. We don't think that it was good when Syria was in an Iranian proxy, kind of Iranian proxy, and we don't think that Syria should be a Turkish protectorate.
Israel went on to highlight that Turkey is also actively undermining Kurdish autonomy, making its ambitions even more problematic for Israel. Turkey has now fired back with a sharp response. The Turkish Foreign Ministry issued a statement dismissing Israel's accusations and urged Tel Aviv not to interfere in efforts to bring stability to Syria and furthermore abandon its expansionist policies. Turkey also accused Israel of being the real threat to the region, citing Israeli military actions as a major destabilizing factor. Now, Israel's concerns go deeper. In January, the Israeli government committee warned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about the potential formation of a Syrian-Turkish alliance, which could present an even greater security threat than Iran's presence in the region. Reports in Israeli media states that closer ties between the two countries could also result in Turkey gaining control over key strategic locations like Palmyra. And in return, Damascus could receive economic and military support from Ankara. Additionally, Israel is also concerned about the possibility of Turkey establishing permanent military bases inside Syria. Strategic facilities like the T4 air base, which would bring Turkish forces closer to Israel's border. Such a move, they fear, could embolden Syria to rebuild its military infrastructure, enhance its missile capabilities, and fortify its southern defenses, posing a direct challenge to Israeli security. And T4 air base was exactly the site of Israeli airstrikes yesterday and on multiple occasions this past month. The IDF said the strikes, including the one at T4 air base, were aimed to dismantle the remaining military capabilities and remove any potential threats. Thursday's Israeli airstrikes also targeted the Hama air base as well as Damascus. Israel's defense minister has said that these strikes served as a direct warning to the HTS-backed Syrian government to cease allowing hostile forces into its territory. Katz was perhaps referring to Turkey's growing presence in Syria. As Israel and Turkey exchange accusations and airstrikes continue to rattle Syria, the question still is this the start of a larger war between two major powers in West Asia? The markets have opened sharply lower in New York City, and the stock market took a heavy pounding after China retaliated with new tariffs on U.S. goods. The Dow Jones Industrial Average traded more than 1,200 points lower, or 3%. It gave rise to fears of a trade war that could spark a global recession. But U.S. President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs not only sent the global markets into a tailspin, they have also hit the world's richest. You heard that right. In a single day, the world's 500 richest people saw their combined wealth drop by a whopping $208 billion. According to Bloomberg, the drop is the fourth largest one-day decline in 13 years. Among the biggest losers, Meta's Mark Zuckerberg, Amazon's Jeff Bezos. The Meta founder reportedly lost the most in dollar terms. Meta's 9% slide reportedly cost the CEO Zuckerberg $17.9 billion. That's around 9% of his wealth. Meanwhile, Amazon shares plunged 9%, which is their biggest drop since April 2022. This cost Bezos $15.9 billion in personal wealth. Trump's efficiency czar and Tesla CEO Elon Musk reportedly lost $11 billion on Thursday when Trump's measures were announced. He has already lost $110 billion so far this year. The others on the list include Ernest Garcia III, CEO of used car retailer Carvana Company. His wealth tumbled $1.4 billion after his company's shares lost 20%. And then we have co-founder and CEO of Shopify, who lost $1.5 billion or 17% of his fortune. Europe's richest person of LVMH, a conglomerate which owns brands including Christian Dior, in fact, its shares fell in Paris, wiping $6 billion of his net worth. Founder of Chinese shoemaker Huali Industrial Group Company, Zhang Congguan, lost 13% of his fortune thanks to Trump's additional 34% tariff on China, which sent the company's stock plummeting. Former Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee once said, "We can change our friends, but not our neighbors." His reference was to Pakistan. Today, many believe Bangladesh is on the path to becoming another Pakistan. This sentiment resonated sharply as Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Muhammad Yunus on the sidelines of the BIMSTEC summit in Bangkok. This meeting coming against the backdrop of Bangladesh's political upheaval and growing anti-India rhetoric, underscoring India's pragmatic approach to navigating the shifting dynamics in its neighborhood. Yunus's interim government has been floundering on issues like ensuring the safety of Hindu minorities, management of the border, raising concerns in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi used this high-level interaction to address these sensitive matters directly.
Prime Minister also urged in this regard that any rhetoric that vitiates the environment is best avoided. On the border, strict enforcement of the law and the prevention of illegal border crossings, especially at night, is necessary for maintaining border security and stability. Prime Minister also underlined India's concerns related to the safety and security of minorities in Bangladesh, including Hindus.
The meeting wasn't just about grievances. It was a strategic move to contain the anti-India rhetoric emanating from Dhaka. Prime Minister Modi emphasized on the need for restraint and careful diplomacy, warning against actions that could destabilize bilateral ties. Both leaders also discussed border issues extensively, with Yunus reportedly pressing for Sheikh Hasina's extradition.
Our chief advisor had a wide-ranging discussion with Indian PM Narendra Modi. They discussed all issues of our mutual interests.
India's Ministry of External Affairs says it will not comment on the issue of Hasina's extradition. Yunus took the opportunity to present a picture that had Prime Minister Modi honouring him with a gold medal at the 2015 Indian Science Congress in Mumbai. It was an apparent bid to remind the Indian Prime Minister of an honour he was granted in the past. But a lot of water has passed by since then. Bangladesh will have elections at some point as the demands for it are getting stronger by the day. It's also likely to see changes in the ruling dispensation. It's only fitting that India sees that Dhaka does not yield space to China, as Yunus made it out to be recently. In fact, Yunus's comments describing Bangladesh as the only guardian of the ocean for the region sparked backlash in India, leading Bangladeshi officials to later issue clarifications.